I won't belabor the distinction between project manager and product manager, because I think Jason Ling handled that in great depth and with great elegance in a previous episode. So just go listen to that. I think the misconception that is common, that's really important to get out there, product managers aren't managers of people, which is an easy misconception to make because it has manager in the title. The management of product management is ownership over a product that you're building. In the case of a SaaS business, a piece of software. And fundamentally, your job as a product manager is to protect your team from building something cool but useless. Because that's the default. When you get a bunch of smart, excitable people in a room together, the default is to build something as soon as possible. And most things that you build, if you don't go talk to users first, are cool because the people building them are smart, but useless because they don't actually solve a problem in the world. Dale's laughing here because he's a veteran in product management, so I'm sure he's got some stories of this he could exchange as well. But fundamentally, that's what I view the role of a product manager to be. You are responsible for the team making sure that they're building something that has value, but you do that by, and we can get into this more, by cultivating a culture where the team can make decisions. You are not telling them what to do because you are not their manager, even though you've got manager in the title. And the team here, I should be specific, is a team of software engineers plus a designer. When you're actually imagining the core of a product team, we talk about the product trio, which is a product manager, a designer, and a software engineer. But in practice, there's going to be more than one software engineer in your team. So you are in the minority in your team, but you have an oversized responsibility to make sure that what is being built genuinely solves the problem for your customers. You are aiming to give context to your team about why you're building something. And there's multiple different ways you can arrive at that. There's one really bad way you can arrive at that, which is I'm doing it because my boss told me to build it. Now, again, that might be a default if you don't push back. But the reason that's not a good idea is because your boss absolutely hasn't talked to the users. And what I love about product management, I think you might know that this is a field that you'd find interesting, is that done right, it's an idea meritocracy. It's not about the opinion of the highest paid person. It's really about the need of the customer. And where it differs from something like customer support or some kind of service organization is, if you're in customer support and your customer tells you about a problem, your goal is to literally give them the solution they're asking for. To just take, like a waiter, like take an order and go and do the thing. But if you do that in software, you end up with a horrible Frankenstein's monster of a product that solves lots of little jobs in terrible ways and doesn't actually solve the core problem. And when you talk to your users, they aren't experts in designing software. In most cases, maybe if you work at Figma, that's different, right? And then you probably have different problems that your users have inside baseball and that they can't get out of their own heads when they're giving you feedback. So good luck. If you're building software for product managers or designers, then you've got a different set of problems. But in most cases, you're not, right? And what they literally ask for might not be the right solution. And something I really like is there's an analogous quote about this when it comes to writing. So my wife's a writer, and so I look a lot of content about writing. And Neil Gaiman says, when someone reads your draft and they tell you, I don't like X or Y about it, they're right. There's something broken that you need to fix. When they tell you how to fix it and say, oh, I think you should write it so he does X, Y, Z instead of this, they're wrong. It's a terrible idea. Don't do it. And so the user, in this case, the reader, and in the writing analogy, but in the case of software, the customer paying for your software, when they tell you about a problem, they're right. You need to listen to it. When they tell you how to fix it, they're probably wrong, because their job is not to design scalable software that works for all your customers. Their job is just to try and solve their own problem. And the kind of apocryphal Henry Ford quote is, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And that's the same idea. Where product management really, where you add value, is by being high empathy, ingesting this feedback from your users, but having the discipline to make sure that what you build is genuinely solving a problem for all of them, not on a case-by-case basis, just literally building what someone tells you to build.